This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
New at 11, we are getting a look at scary moments on Monument Circle Monday night in downtown Indianapolis when a van hit a group of protesters.
And we want to be clear, the video does not show the moments leading up to the incident, and police are working through conflicting reports of what happened. Tonight, RTV6's Cameron Riddle is talking to the woman who shared this video with police and a witness who is questioning the investigation.
Minivan Karen came through and was attacking protesters. If it wasn't motivated by hate, it was certainly, for sure, biased and intentional. And it was because we were protesting for the safety and the quality of life for all Black lives. All Black lives!
Monday night, protest leader Matt Davis was behind a bullhorn and in front of a crowd of protesters walking through the streets of Indianapolis. Over the past 12 days, Davis has gotten used to cars stopping for protesters, but that changed around 7:30 Monday on Monument Circle when a driver of a minivan was caught on video appearing to plow right into protesters.
Injured 3 people, cuts, bruises. It was bad. It felt like a Charleston moment, man. I was so jarred, so scared.
Chan Davis was participating in the peaceful protest with her 16-year-old daughter when she shot the video now being shared online.
That's when I captured this. Like everything just happened like boom, boom. Like it happened really fast. Somehow came around and just, full throttle, just all gas, no brakes, just running through the crowd.
Police tell RTV6 there are conflicting accounts of what occurred. IMPD says the woman immediately called 911 and is cooperating with the investigation. Protester and eyewitness Matt Davis says the driver never stopped and should be charged with a hit and run.
Minivan Karen didn't go to jail. Minivan Karen didn't get charged. Minivan Karen didn't get any consequences. Now, if that was Minivan Keisha, she wouldn't have made it off the circle.
Protesters had already planned to come to downtown Indianapolis today, but the events with the woman driving that minivan only fueled their energy to come back down here and continue to protest. They said they'll be down here again tomorrow. And now with a list of demands to the City County Council and IMPD. Among them is this one with 2 verbs, which is one demand to defund IMPD and refund the community with more resources. Downtown, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Cameron, thank you. The mayor's office is weighing in on that issue. This afternoon, a spokesperson for Mayor Joe Hogsett released a statement saying in part, quote, "Here in Indianapolis, Mayor Hogsett has brought forth a number of significant reforms that have radically reshaped the relationship between the IMPD and the community, from instituting mandatory bias training and creating an IMPD Office of Diversity and Inclusion to announcing diversion programs and construction of a new community justice center. The mayor has stepped boldly forward on criminal justice reform." The statement goes on to say, quote, "Responsible public safety is an important and necessary component of a functioning society. Our efforts in Indianapolis have sought to uplift the best possible version of that," end quote. We told you last night at 11, those in favor of defunding police departments do not want to see them eliminated. The goal is to redistribute money towards services addressing things like mental health and homelessness, which could help reduce crime. You can find more an in-depth report on the issue, including a graph of IMPD's budget since 2009 on our website, theindychannel.com.
Now to the forecast. We're getting a break from the rain right now, but how long will it last? Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is tracking another storm system headed our way. Kevin.
And we talked about how warm it is right now and humid. Most of us will stay dry overnight, and the severe threat is low. The wind is still strong, gusting over 30 miles per hour. As far as our severe threat, it's in the marginal risk now, so low category winds would be the major threat with any of the isolated thunderstorms, and those are more likely north and west of Indy. No rain in central Indiana now. Thunderstorms that you see in Illinois moving to the north and east. I think the better chance for any overnight thunderstorms will be northwest portions of the state. As we go through the overnight into the morning, isolated shower thunderstorm. There we are at 8 a.m. The threat of more rain tomorrow ahead of a cold front. We'll talk about the timing and what it means for the weekend coming up.
After more than a week of peaceful protests, boards blocking windows and doors are starting to come down in downtown Indianapolis. And some businesses are back open, like the commissary barber and barista. And the shop store was kicked in and some equipment was stolen after protests turned destructive the last weekend of May. But some places are still trying to bounce back, like Michael's Soul Kitchen, which is still working with insurance to make repairs.
When it first happened, the shop was there. We were a black-owned business. We have been helping during this whole COVID-19. We have been doing all kind of stuff. So when it happened, it was like, wow.
We were protesting ourselves, so we were a part of it. When it's peaceful, it's great. You know, it sucks the door got kicked in, but when it comes to human lives, a door is nothing.
Many people and groups have stepped up to help businesses impacted by the unrest. Volunteers with City Life helped Michaels clean up the restaurant's damage.
Some local businesses are showing they support the Black Lives Matter movement by supporting it financially. Hoagies and Hops pledged to donate 50% of today's sales to Indy 10 Black Lives Matter. The fundraiser attracted new customers who wanted to help the cause. Organizers and patrons say they are inspired by the calls for justice and equality.
It says a lot that it's, you know, people aren't just going to forget or just let this go and just say, okay, well, we've done enough. You know, it says something that people are still invested in it and they're not just going to give up until they get justice for some of these families.
I just hope that helps the future for our children so that way they don't have to endure a lot of the things that myself have endured, and then obviously some of the stuff that other people have, other families have endured as well.
The owner of Hoagies and Hops hoped to raise at least $1,000 for Indy 10 Black Lives Matter.
The man whose death sparked those calls for change was laid to rest today. ABC's Alex Prochet is in Houston, where loved ones vowed to carry on George Floyd's legacy.
In Houston this afternoon, a final farewell for George Floyd. Family, friends, and some notable strangers, all linked by George Floyd, the person, and his story.
The world knows George Floyd. I know Perry Jr.
Some called him Perry Jr., some called him Big Floyd, some simply called him George.
Fill up this space.
A star high school athlete in two sports, with a big smile and a sense of humor. His family described him as a loyal friend, a protector. In his eulogy, Reverend Al Sharpton said Floyd was not a perfect man, but the right man for this movement. Now, those closest to George vowing to fight for what his memory stands for.
And I can breathe. As long as I'm breathing, justice will be served for Perry.
I want justice for my brother, my big brother. George Floyd was not expendable. This is why we're here.
When he called out for his mama, we believe that the ears of mamas across this nation reared up, that the ears of mamas across this world heard him cry, even though for one mama, all mamas began to wail.
And then this.
Gianna.
A special video message from former Vice President Joe Biden for Floyd's daughter, Gianna.
Daddy's looking down. He's so proud of you.
As the funeral came to a close, the family began the final procession. That trip to Pearland, Texas. George Floyd's body transported the last mile by horse-drawn carriage to be buried next to his mother. Floyd's niece saying this.
I believe my grandmother was right there with open arms saying, come home, baby. You shouldn't feel this pain. No one should feel this pain.
Alex Prochet, ABC News, Houston.
COVID-19 is now blamed for 2,158 deaths in Indiana. That's according to the latest update from the State Department of Health. 23 newly reported deaths happened between May 31st and yesterday. More than 315,000 people in the state have been tested for the virus, and just over 12% of those have tested positive. COVID-19 research is taking place around the world, mostly at universities, but some private companies are doing their own studies as well. And that includes 23andMe. The popular genetic testing company just released preliminary results of their study using customer data to analyze how blood type plays a role in the virus. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker spoke to a local doctor who tells us what you should take away from this study and why you may or may not want to participate.
People with the O blood type could be less likely to contract COVID-19. That's what 23andMe's study into the virus is showing.
The 23andMe data really is legitimate. There have been several other studies that are hinting at that as well.
Dr. Christopher Belcher, Infection Prevention Medical Director at St. Vincent, is referencing two other studies, one from Italy and Spain, the other from China, all of them helping us better understand this virus that's forever changed our world. 23andMe's study has more than 750,000 participants who qualified and agreed to get involved after using the company for genetic testing. This is the percentage breakdown by blood type of those who tested positive for the virus. The O blood type has the lowest percent of those who tested positive. While the studies are good news, Dr. Belcher doesn't want you throwing caution to the wind.
It's still not enough to protect you. You can't walk out and say, I have blood type O, I'm invincible, because those people got sick too. They were less likely to. But the difference was not enough.
Drawing on its more than 10 million customers, 23andMe has been pushing hard for more people to take part in the study, sending emails out like these. Dr. Belcher says from a medical standpoint, the study is a good thing, but he thinks people should consider this before they participate.
There are privacy concerns when you give up your genetic material to a company and what they're going to do with it. So I would definitely read it very carefully, the whole study consent form, before you agree to it.
What do you want people to learn whenever they see the story or read it?
We continue to learn new things about this virus, and we're learning more and more who's at risk and how this virus works. Do the simple things. Wear your face mask when you're out to protect others. Wash your hands really well so you don't pick it up. If you're high risk, you should still be at home as much as you can and not around large groups of people.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
So you can take a look at them for yourself. We'll post a link to all three of the studies mentioned in this story at theindychannel.com.
Coming up, Ivy Tech is offering thousands of people the chance to further their education and learn in-demand trade skills for free.
We always do our research before we hit the road, but now people are asking lots of questions about what's open, what can I do, what activities are free to me when I go to a certain place.
New and next, with COVID-19 restrictions easing but still in place around the country, AAA is helping travelers in a different way.
And in-store this weekend.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
With states opening and more businesses and attractions, many people are planning road trip vacations this summer. But there are things you need to know when it comes to COVID-19 restrictions in different cities and communities. Scripps reporter Stephanie Stone shows how AAA is helping travelers navigate this new normal.
Vacations were canceled, trips delayed, destinations rescheduled. As America starts to think about traveling again, AAA wants to help you plan ahead.
We always do our research before we hit the road, but now people are asking lots of questions about what's open, what can I do, what activities are free to me when I go to a certain place.
Now there's a new tool to help you go. It's an interactive roadmap giving you everything you need to know before you leave home.
Dining solutions or dining restrictions are in place, if face covers are required, if certain national land or parks are open.
Click on different states for information. In certain areas of New Mexico, for instance, only tribal members are allowed. In South Dakota, you'll have to fill out a health questionnaire. Upon entering Florida, you'll have to fill out a traveler form. All things you need to know.
And that's important information to take into account when you're traveling. COVID has hit every part of the country, and you need to understand what's happening in that locality that you're traveling to make the best decision.
The map will also point out hotspots and number of cases by state and county, so you can make an informed decision about where you're going and where you'll be staying. The interactive map has gotten a lot of web traffic as people start feeling comfortable leaving home. And as you start planning, there's some things you should think about and discuss with your family. You should know where the rest stops are, whether they're open, and whether you'll be comfortable stopping. Figure out whether restaurants are open and pack extra food in case there's closures. You'll want an emergency roadside kit and a mask, gloves, disinfectant, cleaning supplies for yourself, your family, and your car.
We had a lot of people who weren't traveling and everyone working from home. So you got to take care of your cars when that happens. So we provided a lot of information in terms of tips to keep your car healthy, your battery healthy.
AAA also recommends making sure your car is in good shape. They've been fielding a lot of dead battery calls from cars that haven't moved during lockdown. Check on your car and check your own health before you leave your hometown. I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
And wet weather will put a damper on vacation plans in parts of the country. Kevin, it's dry right now in central Indiana after rain and storms throughout the day, but what are we looking at next?
So tomorrow, another round of some showers and thunderstorms, but then I think just an all-out beautiful stretch Thursday into early next week with temperatures a little below average. So you want to see that detailed here in a second. You knew it was windy. If you didn't know exactly how windy, nearly 50 miles per hour in Terre Haute and Kokomo, gusts over 40 in the metro area. Not as windy tonight, but still we'll see gusts over 30 miles per hour. Nothing happening in central Indiana now. You can see a little line. It's broken. These showers and thunderstorms west of Springfield, Illinois, northwest of Champaign. They're moving northeast. They'll clip northwest portions of the Hoosier State. Can't rule out in central Indiana overnight an isolated thunderstorm or downpour. And again, any severe threat is low. 77 in Crawfordsville. Temperature still above 80 degrees in Terre Haute and Lafayette. 79 in Bedford. Here's the wind forecast from now through the overnight. Still strong, but I think the strongest gusts now have dropped out with the sun obviously setting. They'll come back tomorrow. We'll have winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour again during the day tomorrow. The other shift will push severe weather threat off to the east. This should happen through the afternoon hours where the storms pick up strength in Ohio as they move away from central Indiana. We're in the low or marginal risk during the afternoon. 8 a.m., couple of isolated downpours. I'll let this roll till 1 o'clock, and you begin to see a line coming together. That's where some of these storms could be strong. To 3 o'clock, a little more defined and a little more intense. Then we get to 5 o'clock, and the line comes together, but in the Buckeye State and continues to move to the east. Temperatures tomorrow will make it into the low 80s. The humidity will still be around, but not as humid as today. We had dew point temperatures in the 70s. It's uncomfortable when the dew point reaches 65. Low 80s tomorrow. There's your wind howling out of the south again. That will keep our temperatures warm. Then you see what happens as we start to get to Thursday. More of a west and eventually northwest component to the winds, and that'll cool us off. Upper 70s to low 80s, but it will take the humidity out of the air as well. Temperatures become part of the story as we go to the weekend because we'll continue to cool off. Lower 80s Friday, lots of sunshine around, and then over the weekend, temperatures in the 70s, mid 70s for highs. Low temperatures comfortably in the 50s. You can open the windows again because that humidity will be quite low. Here's your 7-day planner. Over the next 7 days, you can see what happens. Temperatures right at 80 degrees the next 3 days. The biggest change comes as the humidity drops out. Temperatures will fall during the overnight period into the 50s. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning in the 50s for overnight lows. High temperatures Saturday through Monday in the 70s, just below average for this time of year. But it's nice to have 6 out of the next 7 days dry.
It looks fantastic. Thanks,
enjoy.
Kevin. Start planning now. Hiring Hoosiers is committed to connecting you to education and job opportunities to help you rebound from the economic impact of the pandemic. Ivy Tech is offering free classes and training to help Indiana's workforce grow. The courses will cover a variety of subjects and industries to help Hoosiers take the first or next step toward earning a degree or certificate. The free offer is for Indiana residents only and is limited to 10,000 students. And Dunkin' Donuts plans to hire 25,000 new employees across the country. Available positions range from front counter jobs to management. The company recently started a partnership with Southern New Hampshire University to offer an online education to franchise employees. There are 20 Dunkin' locations in central Indiana. And for more info about those opportunities or the free courses at Ivy Tech, go to our website, hiringhoosiers.com. We'll be right back.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
The death of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer sparked nationwide protests. It also sparked calls for more candid conversations on race and racism. Scripps reporter Dan Grossman shares perspective from a news photographer with decades of experience.
Of all the stories inside the Colleyville Library near Dallas,
wow,
few are as animated
I thought you would say that.
as the ones told by John Jenkins.
I've run into things in my 60s that I ran into in my 20s.
But the story on this day,
I keep hoping for it to get better,
is one of struggle still being told in communities of color across the country.
Santos Rodriguez was 11, 12-year-old boy he and his brother were accused of stealing something from a service station. And the cops had him in the car on the back seat and trying to get a confession out of him. And an officer named Daryl Kane thought he'd be smart, and he emptied his gun, so he thought, had a revolver, and put it to the kid's head, and Kane thought it was empty, and he pulled the trigger, and he blew the kid's head off.
It was 1973. John was a 22-year-old news photographer assigned to cover the story.
I think if you sit in the homes of black folks, they'll just sit and say, wow. Been there, done that, we've seen it before.
John says he still gets it himself, stares at a mall or a neighbor who might not wave. He says he's not alone, and it's why we are seeing what we are seeing. Long-standing grievances that are only now getting credence because people who have refused to believe it can see it.
When you first saw that video, what was your reaction?
My reaction is, this is the most valuable tool you can have. Without this, life would be the same, and we'd be going, hey man, the cops beat me up, then they stomped me and they did that, and you go, well, what did you do? Even supporters had doubt. But 8 minutes and 40 seconds, there is no doubt.
In Dallas, I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
A popular summer spot is set to open on Monday. Initially, Greenwood's Freedom Springs Aquatic Center will only be open to season pass holders. That policy will be in place through July 4th. Then day passes will be accepted after that. Everyone will be screened before entering the center, and social distancing will be enforced with floor markings in place. We told you last week 5 public pools in Indianapolis will be open on Saturday. Pools at Bethel, Frederick Douglass, Perry, Riverside, and Willard Parks will be open every day throughout the summer except Mondays. Just in time. Kevin.
And should be a good weekend for pools opening. Lots of sunshine. Thunderstorms overnight. Greatest opportunity north and west of Indianapolis. You see the thunderstorms over Illinois now. During the day tomorrow, thunderstorms into the early afternoon in the metro area, then off to the east after that, back in the low 80s for the high. Amanda?
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. GMI starts at 4:30. Good night.